But I'm gonna let Naeem. You got like 2 minutes. If you can come in and speak, sir.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hello.
Great.
Peace. I'm not going to take the whole 2 minutes. I just wanted to come up, give a shout out. And there was something that you had read from the bill earlier. I mean, a bunch of that stuff had actually stuck out to me. But it was the one thing that said reverse, I believe it said reverse the harm or something like that. And we know that you don't reverse harm, right? You don't reverse a cut. You don't reverse a bruise on your knee when you fall. You heal it. So, I just wanted to point that out to show people that the language in this piece of legislation is extremely problematic and that NARC and COBRA's access to the levers of power via Sheila Jackson Lee and the rest of the 190, so it's probably over 200 Democrats that have signed on to that bill has made this bill basically a poison pill. And we have to do everything within our power to make sure that this thing just dies. I'm just with killing it at this point. At one point, I was like, let's let it go through. But I've had a discussion with Arthur Ward. I've heard Dr. Darity speak on what they're trying to do with this commission and boxing everybody out. I mean, these people want to create a trust fund, family. They want all of, let's just say reparations passes. They want to create a trust fund where they control the money that's due and owed to us. We can't have that, family. I just wanted to get up here and say that. Peace.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you, Naeem. Appreciate you. I'm gonna read point C, which is report to Congress. The commission shall submit a written report of its findings and recommendations to Congress no later than the date, which is 1 year after the date of the first meeting of the commission held pursuant to Section 4C. So after they are assigned to meet, they're supposed to come back with a finding and recommendation. So that's 12 months. Um, Now, that's not saying is that a conclusion of what they found or what? Now, let's go to section 4 because this is real crucial also. Section 4, membership. A, number and appointment. The commission shall be composed of 13 members who shall be appointed within 90 days. That's 3 months approximately after the date of the enactment of this act as follows. A, 3 members shall be appointed by the president. Now we know that the president can vary. It depends on who the president is in office and is that president a friend of the American freedmen? Is that president somebody that gives a damn about us, right? Or is I'm so far I haven't really seen any president. Let me stop going down that lane. But 3 members shall be appointed by the president. Now they can put people in that are going to be contrary to us. And if that president doesn't agree and doesn't empathize and care about us at all, and they just want our votes, then is that a president we want to have putting members in if they don't even care or know or respect us anyway, right? B, 3 members shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. There we go again. Same kind of situation. The Speaker of the House of Representatives doesn't necessarily have our best interests at heart as American freedmen, right?
Mhm.
Point C. 1 member shall be appointed by the President pro tempore of the Senate. Okay, same thing there. So let's do the count. That's 7. So 7 out of 13 are going to be by politicians that may not even give a damn about us. Okay.
Mhm.
D, 6 members to round things off shall be selected by the major civil society and reparations organizations that has historically championed the cause of reparatory justice. So there you have Narcan and Cobra that basically wrote themselves into this bill because
Yeah.
they're saying you got to be in an organization that has been pushing for reparations. And I remember Narcan and Cobra, they were came out about 1980s, like the late 80s. They were going to the different colleges trying to get people to join Narcan and Cobra, right?
Right.
Um, hey, I mean, but I remember they were so they're saying you have they're not even saying we want you to put in Dr. William Darity, who for 32 years has been really digging in as economist, or lionized and respected economist. They're talking about organizations. And clearly, with Narcan and Cobra, they just want to make it, all melanin matters, right? So why
Mhm.
would we want them in to dilute whatever is specifically for the American freedmen? It just that's what they're talking about as far as membership.
Right.
Point two.
And,
Did you
and,
need
and
me?
may I add,
Yes, ma'am.
excuse me, Ross.
Sure.
Sorry. We have to look at those organizations that they were referring to. They're referring to organizations, say, like the NAACP, who supported NARC. I meant, not NARC, who supported DACA. Um, they're supporting the Urban League. Again, another organization that did not sign on to the historic 1866 Civil Rights Act. These organizations that they are putting up to represent specifically freedmen have been infiltrated, um, and they do not speak for specifically our lineage. Um, I've landed. Please continue, Ross. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Angie. Like I said, anytime my host and co-host, I mean my co-host can jump in, no problem. Anyone else that's on the speakers box, if you need to say anything, please just raise your hand and we can take that break and get to you.
Mhm.
Point two, all members of the commission shall be persons who are especially qualified to serve on the commission by virtue of their education, training, activism, or experience. Like, what do you mean, experience? Okay, particularly in the field of African American studies and reparatory justice. African American studies, they didn't say economics. I
Right.
mean, what are we talking about? Why would I want
No.
somebody studying
Right.
Africa?
Right.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm go ahead, Arthur. I
No,
apologize.
I'm just saying first of all, when it comes to the number and appointment of people, A, B, C, and D shows that they don't know what the hell they're doing. When it comes to a House committee, uh, the commission shall be composed of members chosen by members of the House, not the president, not the president pro tempore of the Senate. This is a House thing, okay? And the second thing, um, just because you advocate for your son to get a heart transplant does not automatically make you qualified to do it. The type of people that should be on this commission are people like economists, people that are constitutional scholars, and people that understand uh, uh, the legalities of what we are trying to accomplish legislatively. Those are the type of people that should be, and we really don't need no more than 9 people. Not all these folks.
Right, absolutely. I mean, they're going into saying African American studies. This is
Right,
really problematic. They did not
right.
mention anything about economics. Don't you think with
Nothing.
reparations, economics and someone that understands the history and who's been studying the economic and historical economic effects should be on this commission? So this is
Exactly.
absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
Um, Now the B terms, the term in office for members shall be for the life of the commission, A vacancy in the commission shall not affect the powers of the commission and shall be filled in the same manner in which the original appointment was made. So if somebody leaves and the president like appointed them, then the next president will come in and appoint that replacement. Makes no sense. Okay. Or somebody, had something happens to one of the members and they get sick or something, they die, then somebody else just comes in. They pick out somebody that's African American studies professor comes in and replaces them. Ridiculous. They don't know
Mhm.
numbers. They don't study the data like that. But I'm gonna keep it moving. Point C. First meeting. The president. They're talking about the president of the United States shall call the first meeting of the commission within 120 days, that's 4 months after the date of the enactment of this act, or within 30 days of the date which the legislation is enacted, making appropriations to carry out this act, whatever date is later. So the later date, the 30 days or 4 months.
Why would
Um,
they want the president to control the commencement of a House committee?
right. It doesn't make sense.
Well,
Y'all
well,
understand that?
the language alone is quite disheartening in the sense where it seems as though we might get our marching orders to go where. I mean,
Right,
because I mean, from the reading of this specific proposal, it seems as though we might be in maybe alien status or something where we might be ejected, as if the forced colonization effort is underway or afoot in this finding, this proposal. I don't know how anyone else might feel about that, but I have a problem. I have an issue.
Yeah, I mean, they're saying the president. I mean, like you're saying, Arthur made a great point and is making great points. Angie's making great points. Like, why in the world are they going and deferring to the president in a congressional bill? Like, this doesn't
right,
make sense. And
right.
he has all of this power, and it's ridiculous. But anyway, I'm not supposed to be saying comments like that, y'all. But sometimes y'all gotta hold me down a little bit. Be
No,
patient
no,
with
no.
me.
This is a family discussion.
Yeah, I'm pointing this stuff out too, but I'm
This is
supposed to
a
be
family
just doing the
discussion.
reading. Let me get back into reading mode. D, quorum. 7 members of the commission shall constitute a quorum, but a lesser number may hold hearings. So what
So that's
lesser
Narcan
number?
and
Two
Cobra plus
people?
one.
Right. Or two, or it could be two people. Two people. They didn't say what who can hold a hearing, right? They just say
Right,
lesser number than the quorum. It could be four
right.
people, 3 people, right? They didn't
Yeah,
say how
and,
many.
and a quorum can do what? Quorum can make
The quorum
decisions.
can, right. And a hearing can be 2 people.
Right,
I mean, a quorum can be 7 members. So that could be the 6 people
right,
that are in NARC and Cobra and the NAACP. Plus, they get somebody to come in and they can make the decision, and those decisions will stand.
right.
So that's a huge problem.
And remember now, all of these
Okay,
decisions are being made behind closed doors.
right.
Go ahead.
They're not being made in public, so we can see what they're talking about, and we can go and lean on them some as the general public.
Right.
As if we're
Um,
children. As if we're children. Oh, really?
right,
Really? Because that's the sense I get. You doing things behind closed. What the mommy and daddy tell secrets behind closed doors so the children can't hear.
right, right. Now, point E, chair and vice chair. The commission shall elect a chair and vice chair from among its members. The terms of office of each shall be for the life of the commission. So that's no big deal. Compensation, F. This is important. Okay. Except, hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't lose everybody. This is
Mm-hmm.
important. F, compensation. One, except as provided in paragraph 2, each member of the commission shall receive compensation at the daily equivalent of annual rate of basic pay, for GS 18. That's general schedule under section 5332 of Title 5 United States Code for each day, including travel time during which he or she is engaged in the actual performance of duties vested in the commission.
Mm.
Now, if you know anything about government services ratings, GS 18 is very high pay. I mean,
Right.
it's like I think, I mean, I, I don't have I know I have family members who are like GS 18, but they've been
Mm.
in the government for like 40 years, right?
Okay.
GS 18 is very high pay, very high pay. So these people are going to come in at a GS 18 pay, and they're talking about travel time and performing duties. And I mean, they it's like people are good get now there. That's not excluding their regular jobs or their regular salaries or tenure or whatever. That's not including all of that. So you got somebody that the president is appointing, this probably in this circle, somebody the
Me,
speaker of the house is appointing, the president pro tempore appoints, and these other people that are appointed by NARC and Cobra in the NAACP or the Urban League, and they're going to get paid. So do you think that they're going to, I mean, if you're getting paid a job or extra money for doing something like this, do you think it's going to take an entire year, or you're going to rush and try to, not say rush, but hurry and try to do it? Or is it's going to take you an entire amount of time, or you say, hey, I need to get it extended? Because people are getting paid. So they're getting paid for their services. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's people that want to do this for free, right? So
Right.
what are we talking about? It's
Well,
like it's go ahead, Arthur.
my understanding of the GS18 situation is somewhere between 150 to 200K. Is that correct? Is, is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Between,
Yes, sir. It's
okay.
about yeah, yeah.
All
It's
right.
very
So in other words, they're making sure through HR40 to stack that money. So, and we understand, Narcan and Cobra, that advocacy is expensive. So to the tune of 150 to 200K plus a year to study stuff that has already been studied and to maybe come to a productive conclusion. So, this is why I tell people to really read HR40. If you don't understand certain words or phrases, pick up a dictionary or thesaurus. But get into this. This is your money speaking here. See, this is what you pick up when you read stuff and tread heavily through the high thickets of Pan-African rendered legislative English. So I say this, family, the next time that we ourselves need expert help in putting together a self-serving bill, I know I will. I will definitely enlist the professional services of the NARC and Cobra Axis. They're just good at this. That's all I got to say about this.
Okay, let me get to 2 and 3. Then I'm gonna reset the room real quick and let everybody
Okay.
know what we're doing. I appreciate everybody's patience as we pick through point by point. Point 2: a member of the commission who is a full-time officer or employee of the United States or a member of Congress shall receive no additional pay, allowances, or benefits by reason of his or her service to the commission. Okay, so if you're already making big money as far as being a congressperson or work for the federal government, then you're not going. But what about the other people working for colleges, or like they could be at Morgan or Howard or whatever the case? They're going to get
Well,
extra pay.
I don't even
So
know
they
why they put
basically,
that in there. And see, this
yeah,
is this is the sentence for people that don't understand how government works. If you're already a congressman, you would not receive additional pay, period, for being on a commission. So I don't understand why they put that in here.
Well, that's because they want to make sure that now notice they didn't include people that are not I mean the 6 members from the other groups, they're not included in that statement. So that's just,
Okay,
yeah, of course, if you're a congressperson, you're not double dipping, right? If you work for federal government, you're not double dipping.
right.
And but if you are not working for them and you work for an HBCU and you're African American studies professor at Howard, then you're going to double dip because they're going to pay you. So
Right.
that's what that's in there for. So the people who are supposed to be vested in this and part of the, I made, perhaps they could be African, far as we know. They could be an African person coming in and they're majoring in, they're teaching African American studies. Now they could be on the commission and they'll receive another check, right? That's how they
Actually,
see it.
that's a very likely thing to happen in this case.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you've been to any of the HBCUs and to their African American Studies program, many of them are African.
Mm.
So, point three: all members of the commission shall be reimbursed for travel, subsistence, that's food, or lodging and other necessary expenses incurred by them in the performance of their duties to the extent authorized by Chapter 57 of Title 55, of Title 5, United States Code. All right, so let me reset the room. Thank everybody who is here for H.R.40 Breakdown. Let's deep dive into it. We've been reading specifically the H.R.40 bill as it stands now, and we're going into it and the problems that are involved in it and helping people to understand. The link is in the jumbotron. You can go over this with us at now, or you can. This session is being recorded. You can go over it another time. We're asking all of the speakers who come up to limit your conversation or regarding specifically HR 40 only and for 2 minutes. Where I mean, whether you have read it, haven't read it, whatever kind of comment you got to make it on HR 40 only. We're not speaking necessarily about anything else. And if you want to come in at any point, you have a question, please raise your hand. Um, and we'll let you come to the floor. It's a couple people that are requesting coming in. And if you guys can handle that, and I'll continue reading. Like I said, it'll be like 2 minutes because we look at the time and just try to make you, land your conversation or your comment in that time. And specifically about HR 40. Okay. Section 5, the powers of the commission. That's really important. A, hearings and sessions. The commission may, for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of this act, hold such hearings and sit and act at such times and at such places in the United States, and request attendance and testimony of such witnesses and the production of such books, records, correspondence, memoranda, papers, and documents as the commission considers appropriate. The commission may invoke the aid of an appropriate United States district court to require by subpoena or otherwise such attendance, testimony, or production. So they're basically saying the commission can go in and find out any kind of reference materials to handle this job as far as the research to find out what was done to the American freedmen. That's all that
Hmm.
really is saying. Um, B, and they can also get a court reporter in order to document whatever testimonies. If somebody comes in, they can get a court reporter, and they can also get a court videographer to videotape the depositions or something like that. That's pretty much what that's saying. Okay. B, the powers of subcommittee and members. Any subcommittee or member of the commission may, if authorized by the commission, take any action which the commission is authorized to take by this section. Okay, so they can have a subcommittee member. They didn't even mention anything about subcommittee, but um, they're basically saying that they can go in and do what the commission asked them to do. But they didn't even really mention subcommittee, did they?
Mhm.
I didn't see anything prior to this about a subcommittee.
No, it
Right,
So,
wasn't.
so what are they talking about? I
right.
mean, it's like they don't even mention anything about a subcommittee, but they're saying that if a commission or member of the commission asks them to do something, then they can do it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and usually in a bill when a subcommittee is mentioned, they usually give the parameters by which that subcommittee may act in terms of serving the commission. And here again, they left it open ended.
Right. This is just crazy. It's like it doesn't even mention subcommittee until section 5, powers of the commission. And they
Right,
didn't say what the subcommittee would be doing and what their powers are.
right.
Point C, obtaining official data. The commission may require directly from the head of any department, agency, or instrumentality of the executive branch of government available information which the commission considers useful in the discharge of its duties. All departments, agencies, and instrumentalities of the executive branch of the government shall cooperate with the commission with respect to such information and shall furnish all information requested by the commission to the extent permitted by the law. What they're saying is they're saying the executive committee, they're talking about investigative, like the FBI and, whatever is under the president as far as
Hmm.
investigative services. They're saying they can use the FBI, they can use any executive federal executive branch agency in order to help them with their findings.
That
Um,
includes that also includes like the health and human services organizations and institutions and agencies such as that matter. Um, those type of agencies would be part of this, I would believe. Wouldn't you agree?
Probably so. I'm not exactly certain, but I was thinking more as far as I said, the FBI, and also I would think it would be the Library of Congress because the Library of Congress has a lot of documentation on much of this. I mean, as far as what our ancestors had gone through, they have the documentation.
But it doesn't
So,
Well,
say
actually,
anything.
if you ask me, the Congress actually has more information than the executive branch,
And
and the
I
Library of Congress comes under the jurisdiction of the Congress, not the executive branch. And
okay.
also, any other data that they would need is readily available online. So I don't understand why this is there either.
Exactly, is what I'm
exactly.
saying.
Hold on
Exactly.
a second. Hold on a second. Please don't, I mean, we're breaking it down, sis. If you want to come in with a question or something, then you are welcome to raise your hand and do that. But we're trying to get through the whole thing. So to me, it's like me and the two co-hosts are speaking. So yeah, you can put your hand up and what, like I said, what we're doing is we're going over doing this breakdown of HR 40 deep dive, and I don't know how far we are into it. We're on section 6, yeah, section 6, about to start up and go into it.
Yes.
So we're just breaking it down, and please make any comments 2 minutes or less specifically about HR 40, nothing else, because we're still staying with this. I'm a daughter. You got 2 minutes.
I was just agreeing with what Arthur was saying. Basically, that basically most of this work is already done, and what I see is going to happen is I'm looking at the dynamic, and I'm looking. This language is very old. I mean, this is old. This language, just the way it's written, it's old. You can even tell it's old. I mean, anybody that's done any work for the government knows that this is old language. But if you look at the hierarchy it's establishing, you said you just didn't worry about the subcommittees. No, because what they're going to do is they're going to have a top-down dynamic working this commission. And when you talk about going into the different, when they talk about here going into or pulling information from the different divisions of government, they're going to have those people already set up on that commission as commission heads. And so if you look at what they're going to do, they're going to use the information that we have been producing, fighting them. They're going to just keep that information. They're going to produce that same information, whether it's Dr. Darity's book, Ross, whether it's the information y'all did when you were ADOS DMV and what you're doing now. Make sure, y'all, that this is all I wanted to really say. Everything that you all do, make sure that your name, your organization is mentioned in these spaces and in your text, on your page, everywhere, because they're going to use your data. They haven't produced one other thing other than what ADOS did, other than what the Freedmen are doing, and Naheem is doing a great job. Shout out to Naheem. Wanted to just say that, and Tamara, shout out to Tamara. I didn't want to say anything other than the fact that they're building this dynamic where they're going to use the information that's already readily available. I don't see any new papers that NARC or in Cobra have specifically generated to push any of this agenda. Okay, thank you.
Mm.
All right, thank you, sis. Midtown, it is 11:12. You got 2 minutes, sis.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate y'all for keeping this in front of the people. Knowledge is power. I wanted to speak on something you mentioned a while back in terms of an official apology. Actually, Bill Clinton did a quasi apology, but there was a footnote, an asterisk that was included, that this was not a congressional apology and that this in no way included or inferred that reparations would be given. So an apology, I mean, hell, who wants an apology? We want reparations. So they are making it clear that they know what occurred. They understand the atrocities. This is a global diaspora we're dealing with, where people of color around the globe have been mistreated, inhumane treatment. I mean, they've taken this all the way to, I believe, the UN.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to speak on anyone else's reparations or their search for justice. We're speaking only on freedmen in the space, and we're speaking specifically of H.R.40 Breakdown. Can you please continue, Ross? Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're in section 6, the administrative provisions. We're almost there. We're on section 6. We're doing the breakdown. A, staff. The commission may, without regards to section 5311B of Title 5, United States Code, appoint and fix the compensation of such personnel as the commission considers appropriate. So they're talking about going into pay. Like if they feel like they need more money, which nobody says we need less money, right? Then they can go in and adjust the amount of money that they're paying. Instead of GS 18, they can give them a GS 20 or 21. B, applicability of certain civil service laws. The staff of the commission may be appointed without regard to provisions of Title V, United States Code governing appointments in the competitive service, and without regard to the provisions of Chapter 51 and Subchapter 3 of Chapter 53 of such title relating to the classification and general schedule pay rates, except that the compensation of any employee of the commission may not exceed a rate equal to the annual pay rate base pay payable for GS 18 of the general schedule under Section 5332 of Title 5 United States Code. Well, that basically got overruled by Section A, where they say they can go in and renegotiate how much people are getting paid, right? So that kind of like is what? Okay. Part C, experts and consultants. The commission may procure the services of experts and consultants in accordance with the provision of Section 3109B of Title 5, the United States Code, but at rates for individuals not to exceed the daily equivalent of the highest pay rate under Section 5332 of such title. So they're going to
Does let
get,
me jump in on that
yes,
and focus
go
on
ahead.
that
I
for
was
a
about
minute.
to do that. Go ahead, do it.
Okay. Now, and I'm going to let me reiterate this. Experts and consultants. The commission may procure the services of experts and consultants in accordance with the provisions of Section 3109, subsection B of Title 5, United States Code, but at rates for individuals not to exceed the daily equivalent of the highest rate payable under Section 5332 of such title. Now, even though Cobra has not accomplished reparations at no time anywhere, even after more than 30 years in operation, they put themselves and their associates out in front of everything and everyone as the experts of reparations. Now, this subsection opens the door for individual members of NARC and COBRA to establish consultancies, research concerns, and advising nonprofits to non-productively assist in developing reparations policies and programs. As we talk, and I mean right now, consultancies are being created like the newly established First Repair, which was founded by Robin Rue Simmons. Now, for those that don't know, she is the one, along with Cobra, that did a failed local reparations effort when she was an alderman in Evanston, Illinois. She is now closely associated with NARC. First Repair is supposed to be an organization that is advocating for local reparations nationally. Now, this is just another way to exploit the reparations issue gravy train and expect to see more of these in the future. Right now, several NARC and COBRA members are independently creating consultancies to exploit this particular section of H.R. 40. That's what this is about.
Thank you, Arthur. I was definitely about to go into that because I was going to say now they can call on anyone whom they so choose in order to get them a paycheck, to get them a
Right,
bag. And they
right.
could say, hey, we needed the services of this individual for these 6 months in order for them to do X, Y, and Z. And that they get a check cut because why? It's a federal government check, and they have the ability in Section 6, point D, to be able to do that, right?
Right, right.
Um, that's important. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. In Section C, did I say C or D?
Now, Section C, that's for
Yeah,
Section
C. I'm
C.
sorry. C. Okay. Yeah, we're on Section D. So they can
Yeah,
say in Section C, experts and consult. No, this is an expert, or this is
right,
somebody we're consulting with. Because, well,
exactly.
why don't you, as an expert on the panel, why don't you have the ability to do what you're bringing other people in there to do? You should have that information already, since you've been studying it for 30 something odd years or 40 years, right? Doesn't make
Exactly.
sense that you would have to go outside of that panel, the 13-member panel, in order to get other experts. Doesn't make sense. But Arthur, you made a great point. People are setting up all kinds of groups now in order to make that happen.
Right.
Um,
Now, I want you to read subsection D. I want to jump on that one
oh
too.
yeah, I'm about to jump in there.
Okay.
Here we go. Point D. Administrative support services. The commission may enter into agreements with the administrator of general services, that's the GSA, for
Right.
procurement of financial and administrative services necessary for the discharge of the duties of the commission. Payment for such services shall be made by reimbursement from funds of the commission in such amounts as may be agreed upon by the chairman of the commission and the administrator. Arthur.
Now, this is word soup, and this is what this is leading into. Let me preface this. The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, they produced a cost estimate for H.R. 40. Again, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparations Proposals for African Americans Act on May 17, 2021. The estimated spending subject to appropriation for the 2021-2026 fiscal year came to $20 million. Statutory pay-as-you-go procedures apply to this potential appropriation. Now, this I'm gonna quote you some excerpts from that cost estimate. Quote: H.R. 40 would establish a 15-member, going up again from 13 to 15. Would establish a 15-member commission to study the effects of slavery and discriminatory policies on African Americans and recommend appropriate remedies, including reparations. The commission will report its findings and recommendations to the Congress 18 months after its first meeting and terminate 90 days after the support is submitted. H.R. 40 would authorize the appropriation of $20 million for expenses of the commission, including payroll and support costs for members and support staff. Assuming appropriation of the authorized amount, CBO estimates that implementing the bill will cost $20 million over the 2021-2026 period. CBO assumes that the bill will be enacted late in fiscal year 2021. Because of the lag between enactment and appointing members to the commission, CBO does not expect there will be any budgetary effects in 2021. And finally, H.R. 40 would authorize the commission to accept monetary gifts. Listen to this. They would authorize the commission to accept monetary gifts which are recorded as reductions in direct spending that could be subsequently spent without further appropriation action. CBO estimates this provision would have a negligible effect on direct spending because any gifts would likely be spent soon after being received. Unquote. Now, this subsection D, along with the language contained in the cost estimate, opens the door for NARCN and COBRA's African and Caribbean professional allies to collect through retained consultancies contracts with Pan-African run nonprofits and the production of quote-unquote scholarly research and reports by quote-unquote credentialed or recognized individuals. They plan to extract every penny of that appropriation with no reparations happening as a result. And reparations is not a priority. That's all I have to say on that point.
Thank you, Arthur. Thank you for that breakdown. That's really important. So this administrative provisions section right here, section 6, is highly, highly problematic. It points out so much. I'm going to go to a question to Amia. You got 2 minutes. Please make it pertinent to H.R. 40. Thank you. Amia, you can unmute. Can't you unmute?
Hey, sorry, it wouldn't let me. Peace and blessings to the room. Thank you so much for letting me speak right quick. I just want to say thank you, everybody on here on the panel, for advocating for the tether language to be removed from HR 40 and exposing the potential backdoor rat bags that seems to be littered in just the HR 40. So I know you said you don't want to hear about like other people that have gotten reparations, but I only ask for you to set that aside only to hear my question. And it's, so we know that specifically slavery, American chattel slavery, was a blueprint for the Holocaust, right? So my only question is, how do Holocaust survivors get their reparations on our land, on the blueprint's land, before the blueprint to our massacre got theirs? And I'll end my plane.
That's a great rhetorical question. I've often asked it myself, but can we circle back to that after we're almost finished? We're in section 6. We got 2 more sections after 6, and we can circle back to that if you don't mind, Amia. Okay, because I've asked that.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't want to
okay,
dilute
cool.
anything. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
All right, no problem. Thank you. Section E, point E, I'm gonna just call it point. Contracts. The commission may one procure supplies, services, and property by contract in accordance to applicable laws and regulations to the extent or in such amounts as are provided in appropriations acts, and so they can get whatever they need in order to do their job, basically is what they're saying. Two, enter into contracts with departments. This is what Arthur was talking about. Also, agencies, instrumentalities of the federal government, state agencies, and private firms, institutions, and agencies for the
Right.
conduct of research or surveys and the preparation of reports and other activities necessary for the discharge of duties of the commission to the extent or in such amounts as are provided in appropriations acts. So that's
Okay.
exactly
Hey,
what Arthur. Go ahead, Arthur.
actually, this is actually more the same spelled out in subsection D. It's just more egregiously worded and expanded. The first part of the sentence in subsection 2, entering into contracts with department agencies and instrumentalities of the federal government, state agencies, that is a cover sentence. The important part of this section is when it goes to private firms, institutions, and agencies for the conduct of research or surveys. And that is about what I was talking about previously in terms of this scholarly research and reports and all this other stuff that's going to their friends. That's the important part of this subsection. So
Absolutely. That's why
thank you.
I thought I put that extra spin on there, like private
Okay.
firms, institutions, and agencies. So they're
Right.
going into we can this wait, like, what can we call it? And he's right. It's a smokescreen thing. Of course,
Smoke screen thing.
they've already said federal government, state agencies. Of course, this is a federal commission. They can go to the
Right.
federal government. They can go to the state agencies, but that's not the important part, right?
Right.
So we're about to finish this up as far as the reading of it. Section 7, termination. The commission shall terminate or end 90 days after the date on which the commission submits its report to Congress under Section 3C. So after everybody, all their friends have gotten bags, they're going to be able to end the commission.
Right.
That's easy. That's what they're saying. Section 8,
Uh-huh.
authorization of appropriations to carry out provisions of this act. There are there are authorized to be appropriated $12 million. So they have
Yeah.
$12 million to play around with, right?
Well, that was this is the language in the bill, but in actuality, what counts is what's coming from the Congressional Budget Office, and it will be 20 million, not 12.
Right. So it's $20 million for them to play around
Mm-hmm.
with, stuff pockets with, and then come back and say, well, we need an extended time
Mm-hmm.
and then more
Right.
money for the following
Right.
fiscal year. I mean, I'm just
Exactly.
telling y'all because and these are people getting paid money daily for what they're doing. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
end of it. That's all of HR 40. If you haven't read it, we just did. We went over it. We broke it down. The problems involved with it. I wasn't able to go to the jumbotron and put in fixhr40.org, but yeah, I would have. I mean, I don't know. I know how to do it now. I just haven't. I've just been reading. I know y'all are so sick of my voice, but that's okay. Took a sip of water, and my coffee is doing working fine. But I wanted to just thank Angela and Arthur for coming here, A for coming in and co-hosting this with me, because I think this is important that we know what we're talking about when we're talking about HR 40 and we start deep diving into something. If somebody says, yay, we're for this, and we have to know what we're talking about. I think too many times, unfortunately, if we are going into bills or we are going into things, we don't do enough vetting, we don't do enough research, and that's okay. It's a way for us to be able to do it. It's not that you can't really make a decision if you don't know what you're talking about. You can't make a wise decision. You can make a decision, but it could be a foolish decision, like a
Right.
$1 million or a million, paper beads. A
Right.
foolish decision would say a million paper beads, right? So you
Right.
got to know what the difference, unless those paper beads have, diamonds inside of them. So you got to know what you're talking about to make that wise decision. I'm going to go back to the sister's question where she was talking about the she was talking about HR 40 and us versus the Jewish. It's a whole different thing. Like I heard someone on another Twitter space. This is just extending a little bit. And they were talking about they were Cuban American and we have issues and problems. It was on the same thing with the white lady that had sickle cell, and he was saying that we have problems as far as feeling or being victims. No, it's not that we have problems with victimhood. And matter of fact, he's Cuban, so he's white, and Cubans are given first class treatment into the country if they come over, escape Cuba, and they come over on a raft, and they can, it's all kinds of things now. But it's like they're white and they were given privileges, and nobody that's Cuban American built the United States, and they didn't have to deal with chattel slavery and redlining or any of that because they're white, right? So I'm so sick of people trying to uh break us down that never had to go through what our ancestors and we have to endure right now. So that's, I
Right.
mean, we got to make sure that we know what we're talking about, and we can talk about it adequately, especially in dealing with chattel slavery and HR 40, this particular bill. I got some people that are coming in or want to come in now. We're going to ask you to please keep it to your comments to 2 minutes. Make it specifically regarding HR 40. And I have my mods or co-hosts. They're on standby to help in this. I think Tamara, you were up, and then I'm not sure who was after that. But Tamara, 2 minutes, dear, and it's 11:34.
I won't take 2 minutes. Good morning, everybody. I want to first of all say thank you for breaking down HR 40. It is, as Dr. Darity has said, he's been on my broadcast and said it's quite problematic. I do have, there was someone some time ago that did a email and it had all the different edits. So yes, it is problematic and we definitely need to understand what it says. Good morning, Arthur and
Good
Angie.
morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I was hopeful, Arthur, that you would have maybe shared with them the conversation or some of the conversation I had with you about HR 40. Because y'all, let me tell you, I can't, and I need you to hear me. I can't talk against HR 40, and I won't until after we get past this primary. HR 40 honestly is all that we have to fight Warnock. S40 he has not signed on to, so it's all that we have to fight against Warnock. So I won't and I can't fight against the little, even though it's this again, HR 40 is very problematic, but it's all we have. All we have in this campaign to defeat Warnock, because the only difference between he and I stand on a Democratic platform just like him, and the difference is HR 40. So I don't know how we work together over the next 5 months to get beyond this campaign, and then we can have the bigger conversation and we could pivot a bit. But it's all we have, and I'm it's I don't know how to, I need y'all to really look at this a little differently over these next 5 months. Not that we say anything different, because this, again, HR 40 is problematic, but we got to get past Warnock. And I don't want this to be something that is confused, because here in Georgia, when I explain reparations, I'm telling you, it is so elementary here. Like, I mean, I'm still explaining what reparations is. So the little that HR 40 does offer is all that we have. So it may be a conversation that we take to the back channel, and y'all, I mean, to a Zoom, but we got to figure this out, because we only have 5 months, y'all. This is all we got. And I'll yield the mic.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. I don't
Tamara,
know. Go
yeah,
ahead, Arthur.
Tamara, yeah, that's fine. And look, this is one thing about me that I want everybody on this panel to know. I do not. I have private conversations with several people that are on this panel right now, and I never expose private conversations with anyone. That's one thing I won't do.
Yeah, I know you
But
don't, and I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying, but
yeah,
this part of what HR 40 in relation to this campaign, that
yeah,
we gotta have this conversation out loud, like
mhm.
amongst all, because all of you are leaders. Like, all of you are the lead. Like, when we talk about who leads in this reparations movement, it's all of you, and we got to figure this out, because we only have 5 months.
Mhm.
I have
Well,
to ask a question because I have to ask this question of any potential candidate. What would you, if you were just a constituent, would and was aware of HR 40, would you be supportive of it? And if the answer is yes, then that leads me to other questions. But if the question is you are supportive of HR 40, if you're not supportive of HR 40, then you would advocate to fix it. Um, Maybe that's just my opinion, but that's from my perspective. Sometimes you have to take yourself outside of where you are in order to advocate for yourself and for your people.
Okay, but let's deep dive into that, and I'm gonna take that to me, the candidate, me personally, and I see Dr. Darity is down there, so if y'all want to bring him up, that would be fine too. Um, I want you to understand that when I go back and look at, the race in 2020, and I don't know what happened, and that's another conversation, but I kind of see, if we don't come together and be on the same page at the same time in real time, we're going to do what we did in 2020, and we fell apart. This campaign to the United States Senate fell apart around me. I didn't understand what the hell was happening. Still to this day, I don't know, and I don't want to know, honestly, because I think we gotta move beyond it, and I want us to, and that's why I see all the faces that, I see a lot of faces that was with me in 2020, but I know that if we fell apart for many reasons, HR 40, when we go into this race, the date of this race is May 24th. It's not about me, the candidate. It's about us getting to the next step, or the next leg of this race. The next leg of this race is my race and Marcel's race over in South Carolina. And whoever else is running as a reparationist, and y'all want to support. We got to get past these races. And if HR 40 is all we have, because that's all I have. So when I go out and I travel and I talk, and I'm talking about this campaign, I'm talking about this run against Warnock. The thing, my weapon is HR 40, because he has not signed on to S40. The only little thing we have in Congress is S40 and HR 40. No, I agree with you 120%. It is problematic, like Dr. Darity has said. It needs help, but it's all we got, and we got until May. And I'm afraid for us to go out and do this, say anything, against it, because it's all we got.
Hold on a
Now
second. But
we could fall apart in the next 5 months over this.
hold on, Tamara. Hold on a second. This is the thing too. Like, Angie made a very valid point. As a candidate for a political space, I mean, you got to look at differently than a constituent. We just did a whole breakdown. It took about 2.5 hours, and it's the whole bill. The bills are usually more packed than this as far as detailed and things of that nature. But we've been talking about an hour, 2.5 hours, and it seems like mostly it's been problems than solutions for us. And so if we're pushing something that is just loaded with problems, I mean, I know there are other bills that are being crafted or have been crafted than HR 40. And maybe because of the HR 40, that's something that is a problem because it's loaded with problems. Should we push something that's loaded with these kinds of problems? And we went into the specificity of the problem, or should we unleash and unload the new bill with respect to Elder John Conyers, who actually wrote the original HR 40? Should we unleash a new bill that has better specificities and is crafted for 2022 and beyond for us?
Okay,
I
but
mean,
we
I'm
don't
just
have any.
asking
We
a
don't.
rhetorical. I'm asking a
Yeah,
rhetorical.
and I want to answer you. So we don't have. It's not like we have somebody that said, "Okay, we're gonna rewrite this bill right here, right now." We don't. So when I go out, I will say yes, the bill is problematic. However, it does push our justice claim for reparations. All I can say is there's steps to this, and there's I think we're ahead of ourselves. Again, I go back to May 24th and June for Marcel. Is all we have is reparations as candidates. That's all we have. So we can't throw the what they say the baby out with the bathwater. Like we can't.
Well,
So
I
we got
will.
to figure out how to not kill this because the little life it has, we need it. And I'm afraid that if we go out and start saying pushing against this while we're trying to say, okay, this is our fight for reparations, we could sabotage our own races. So we got to be mindful that there's steps to this. And like I wish y'all would have done this like on a Zoom, and we could have had this conversation, done this like outside of this 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 space where everybody and I'm sure it's being recorded. We got to be mindful. Like I say, we got May
Yeah,
for my race,
I'm
and we
recording
got
it because
June, guys. It's
but this
all
is
we
the
got.
thing. I'm recording it because I think that the majority of our people haven't read the bill, may take, audio and whether they're at work or whatever the case, and listen and be able to, or on their personal time and go pull it up and be able to do the breakdown along with the reading of it. I think it's important to do a reading rather than to do a Zoom. I mean, so
Yeah,
when I'm
I'm
doing
just, I'm
these,
just, yeah,
hold on
yeah,
a
I'm
second,
just,
hold on a second, hold on a second. When I'm doing these, whether it's a Twitter space or something behind the scenes, I'm doing it for a clear purpose and a clear audience. This basically was supposed to be what the three of us had spoken about, doing a breakdown, because most people probably didn't know what HR 40 is, and they hearing to support it, they hear not to support it, and we went
well,
into the current setup of it to do the breakdown of it. So it is what it is for the reason of the constituent and the person who's not going to go in and pull the bill up and go through and read and may not understand what's actually being said. Let me move on to the next person. I'm not sure if it was political. Let's do it this way. I apologize because I don't know. Political, Immortal, Bahi, and Alexis, and Divine, and then Naeem. I'm gonna give y'all 2 minutes each. So Naeem is gonna come up real quick. Political, go ahead, brother.
Hey, nah, you could give them my time. I actually wanted to play a recording and tag along with something you had reported about what someone said, and it's gonna take about 3 minutes, so I'll go last.
Okay, Immortal. Thank you, political. We'll come back to you. 2 minutes. You got it's 11:45.
Um, may I be heard?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
please.
Thank you so much. So, I consider the candidate that spoke, in my mind, I look at her as future Senator Johnson. That's how she exists in my mind. So I want to say that first before I say what I'm going to say next, which is this bill is supposed to take us somewhere like a vehicle. We're at point A, we need to get to point B. So, like a vehicle, if I go outside and there's no tires on my vehicle, there's no engine in it, and I have to go to work, I need to get to point B, and you tell me, well, you shouldn't junk this car and try to do something else because it's all we have. That's not going to work because it's not going to get us to point B. So I understand that you may be surrounded by people who are a lot more intelligent than I am and a lot more informed. But from just the average guy's perspective, if you go into the race supporting HR 40, it's not gonna help you at all. It's not gonna help at all. And my understanding of what senators and the other house of and the other chamber, what they do is create laws based on their constituents' wishes, and they introduce them and get them passed if they can. And so that's what you need to do. You don't try to tell us drive, just go to work. You got a car outside, and it's all we have. And so no, we're going to have to trade that in. We're going to have to get rid of it and write a new bill. And saying that, oh well, this is all we have, we're not going to accept that from the future senator. You're going to have to be surrounded by people who can write bills, and you're
Excuse
going to
me.
have to write one that
Excuse me.
gets
Your
us
time
to
is
the
up. Your time.
destination. Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you very much. We can see that one. Let's make this quite clear. This platform, this room, is specifically in regards to HR 40. It's a breakdown. Unless your response or questions is pertaining to that, and not specifically of any candidates, because we're not vetting candidates in this room. I would appreciate that. Thank you. Next person, please.
Hey, thanks for allowing me to speak. I appreciate y'all going over the bill. I'm actually working, so I'm kind of in and out. But my question was, first, when would this recording be available, and would it be put on something like YouTube to be able to pull up maybe at a future date? Because it's something I really wanted to share with my children going over this bill. The other question that I had, I don't know if this is an appropriate question, because I know you all were saying that we're not vetting candidates, but I know Ms. Tamara Johnson Shealy was saying that this may not be the appropriate time to actually be going through this bill, and I was just wondering, at what leg of the race did she feel like this was, when would be an adequate time to go over something like this? And that was it. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Okay.
question.
The well, he had, let me let him know about the recording. The recording right now is going to be available as soon as, I mean, it's being recorded on Twitter Spaces, and I normally do share and try to pin my latest one at the top of my page. So if you follow that, then that'll be great. And also I try to have it downloaded, and we'll probably be able to post it. I'll let you guys know through Twitter Space if it's posted on a YouTube or a website or something along those lines, because you got to do some kind of basically rip it and put it in an MP3 format. So I appreciate that part of the question, and I'll be able. That's it.
Okay. Please go ahead, Tamara.
Thank you, Angie. When Dr. Darity came on the broadcast, and we talked about HR 40, and he specifically described the edits that need to happen, the thing I said to him was, and I said it jokingly, but I meant it. I said, we're going to have to throw this whole thing in the trash. We're going to have to throw it in the trash. I said it jokingly, but I meant it, and I mean it now. I get that. We're going to have to do something different because this bill is problematic again. However, and I hate that we're having this conversation on a recording, because I know this could go back to the Warnock campaign. But what you got to understand is that is our ammunition. So now we played our hand. Like that is our ammunition. Now, this campaign, there's no difference between him as a Democrat and me as a Democrat. We have a Democratic platform. But the difference is reparations. And all we have is HR 40 and S 40 and S 40 that he has not signed on to. So as a candidate, let's get past May. As for over there with Clyburn and Marcel, let's get past June. We can pivot then. We can pivot and we can talk about rewriting this bill. I said it. It needs to be thrown in the trash. We got to start over. I get it. But we got to race the win, y'all. And I'm getting like it's breaking my heart because I saw 2020 fall apart over us not being organized and doing things and coming together and having these conversations and not doing it in public like we are. We 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 are the leaders. We got to do this and be very strategic and move collectively, and we're not. And this bill right now is all we have, and we got to get past May. So I hope I answered your question, brother. And June for Marcel.
Okay, Divine, then Naeem, then Sinclair. But let me, before Divine comes in, before Naeem, and like I said, for us, I'm an educator. I want to make sure our people know what is in a bill. I want to make sure people vet everything, everything. I don't care if they're eating fruit roll-ups. Is it kosher? Is it pork in it? I want to make sure our people know the information. So to me, this is what this is. That's what this is about.
Can I
Now,
can I
somebody
respond to
could
you all?
wait a minute. No, well, no, I mean, I think we understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying this right here is information of a bill. We're breaking a bill down. As far as I don't think most people knew. And I think that's why one of the reasons I'm giving you as one of the hosts, the reason why we're doing this. I mean, you stated your point several times. I think we understand, but I'm just going to button up as the host for this event what we did and how we did it, and that's it is what it is. I don't want our people to be ignorant for if that's it. I mean, I can go into every other thing that well, we're not going to do that. I don't want it to be about any campaign. One campaign. I really want our people to be knowledgeable. So I can't say, okay, well, I'm not going to have our people being knowledgeable as far as what HR 40 is because we've been talking about HR 40 for a number of years. I want to make sure people understood, and it's not that big of a bill to go through and to break down. So, but most of the people aren't going to do it. So I thought we would help them.
And it's and our hearts are in the right place. Your heart is in the right place. I get it. And we want to educate our people. We want to elevate our people. But many of them, and I'm gonna tell you, in Georgia and South Carolina, where I am, Marcel is, they're not there yet. They're still eating baby food. Y'all are eating steaks. This is steaks. This is the next level.
You know what?
They're
Maybe
not
you're not.
there
Wait,
yet.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Can
We
you
still
stop for
have
a
a lot
moment?
of
Maybe. Wait a
teaching to
minute.
do.
Maybe you, the candidate, aren't pushing the correct message to our people in regards to the need to edit H.R. 40. Maybe that will catapult you to the next level. Thank you.
Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to respond to you, Angie. I
No,
just,
no, because you are speaking as a candidate. You're not speaking as a constituent. That's the problem. We are constituents. We need to speak for ourselves and stop letting, quote,
I could just say
politicians
this.
speak
We got
for
5 months
us.
for me, 6 months for Marcel, and if we don't figure this out immediately, we're gonna sabotage two campaigns. Now, if you've got some other candidates that can speak to this and that are willing to rewrite this legislation and fix this when they get there, then we should be supporting them and maybe
shouldn't be doing this, but if, on this road that we're headed, we're about to sabotage two campaigns if we don't figure this out immediately and get on the same page. So I'll yield the mic and I won't say anything else, but thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, Divine and Naeem, and then Sinclair.
Thank you. Excuse me if I sound under the weather. I am fighting something, but I'm coming through it, so thank God. But I would say, understanding both sides, I have to say, if information and breaking down HR 40 can break down your campaign, we got more problems than we got solutions, right? And so I think we have to be very careful on saying, well, we gotta not fool the people. I'm not saying you're saying to fool anybody, but we gotta hide the information from the people in order to win the race. Now I get it. Everybody's at different levels because we've all come through different areas of growth, and I always say that, and I recognize that. But the good thing about it is, if we have information, when you say after the race we can pivot, that means if we got the information, we know where the pivots are going. We can then assess it correctly and make those pivots intelligently. So I think it doesn't have to be either or. And for the fear of either or to be driving it, like I said, I think there's some things going on that we gotta figure out before we can even move forward in any other capacity. And next thing I'll say is, I know you said no other bills, but I gotta mention this bill, so give me latitude because it does connect. I'm here in New York City, and so recently, I think in June of this year, Charles Barron and the same organizations that we have tied to HR 40 passed A3080A here in New York City, and it's a local reparations bill. But I'm bringing that up to say that the three organizations that got tied to that bill, right, in the same way with they're trying to take a monopoly over HR 40, are in Cobra, the Institute for Your Black World, and the December 12th movement. But when you look at your Institute for Your Black World, the president of that is Ron Daniels, who's also tied to NARC. And the December 12th movement is just an amalgamation of NCOBRA and NARC board of directors and people, right? And so those three organizations, because of how old they are and how long they've been in existence, they have always centered this global diaspora kind of concept for Black people. And so because they are not looking for any type of coalitions, they're not looking for any type of readjustment, they're not willing to admit that concept is problematic, they're looking to lock all other groups out. And so I'm saying that to say, for anybody looking at HR 40, if you think, well, they can't be that bad if they're fighting for reparations, I want you to know they are looking for, as Arthur Ward said it, a slush fund, and to monopolize this reparations movement so they can allocate funds as they see fit from, and we're all Black, the same ideology, because that's what they were brought up in and can't seem to leave alone.
Thank you, Divine. Naeem, you have 2 minutes, sir.
Peace, peace. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
All right. I'm gonna be brief. First and foremost, I just gotta say, I'm appalled that anybody, after listening to 2 hours of Roz and Arthur Ward, get up here and break this bill down, to get up here and say, and how problematic it is for anybody to get up here and say that we need to wait to after an election. Nobody came to anybody prior and said, let's have a conversation about HR 40. I mean, like, if we're going to be serious about this thing, then let's get serious about it. We're not going to just stand up and just let people try to come, I don't care who it is, dictate to us what we need to be teaching and saying insofar as something that is going to be problematic for our people when it comes to reparations. That is absolutely crazy to me. It is the duty of the representative to represent the people, not the duty of the people to represent the representative. Like, we got to get this thing. But I don't know what type of education is going on with this whole situation, but I just had to speak my piece. We not jacking that over here. Peace.
All right. Thank you for that support, Naeem. I appreciate it. Sinclair.
Thank you so much, and thank you for, I mean, just the time of going through HR 40. I mean, literally, I don't know where my day went, but this was a definitely probably one of the best listening that I've had on the issue. And I just want to thank for that time being spent literally going through it. And as it relates to HR 40, I want to extend this as a something to help with Sister Tamara as it relates to the HR 40. I think is what you're saying is probably maybe the wrong way. The reason why HR 40 sucks is not because no one knew any better. It's because we have sorry politicians. We have politicians that never really represented us, and they bamboozled us for 30 years. So I think it's true what you're saying about how there's an impact that HR 40 is there, and Enoch is not even supporting a horrible bill, and he's not supporting it because he doesn't think it's strong enough. Even when we have these conversations about strong bills, if we don't have candidates that are in the Congress that are going to pass strong bills, we can spend another 30 years talking about strong bills unless we actually have candidates that literally are the ones that are going to pass legislation. And for 30 years, we've had people lying again. And Conyers, these folks, I thought, I'm just saying, I thought they were telling us the truth, and that was the white boogeyman they kept telling us that was stopping it, but they were stopping us. So I just think when you're talking about how to have this conversation, you could actually say, look, I want something better than HR 40. And the only way we're going to get something better than HR 40 is electing reparations candidates. You can say that. That doesn't let Enoch off the hook. That doesn't have black people not read HR 40 because you want them to read, because you want them to support you. And there's a spectrum politically. There's some black folks, like you said, who don't even know what HR 40, but there's some black folks that, those including the ones who listen today, as well as others who've been doing the research for years, who literally know what's in it and know what's necessary to get it improved. But being clear, though, there's not enough votes in the Senate. HR 40 could pass. It still won't pass as far as a law because it wouldn't get through the Senate and it won't go to Biden. And we do need an executive order that's literally with all the things that was cited here. And I hope when it comes time for executive order, this recording is used to say what we don't want in an executive order. But I think those are all political strategies. And that's where it gets a little tricky because just because you're an economist or somebody who's an academician, that doesn't mean you're a lobbyist or know how to pass bills. And I think at the end of the day, everything that Sister Roz and folks have said, if you don't use that in your campaign to help you, like you can literally use this recording, Sister Tamara, to help you discuss HR 40 of why it's not a good bill, and be clear that Enoch doesn't even want to help a bill that's weak and doesn't even help us. You don't have to speak to it like it's going to save us, because it's not. We're going to have to save ourselves. So I do think there's a way that you can use these recordings, this information, to help get our people educated, as well as win this campaign on a premise that we need reparations candidates that literally that will introduce or edit or do whatever's necessary to get us real reparations. The folks you see here are actually allies. And again, if you don't agree with everything they're saying or the timing of it, that doesn't mean they're not allies. Just know that these are the folks. If you ever need some folks to come in and say why they need to edit HR 40, these are folks you call in, and that's helpful. So again, you got a great tool belt of people who can help you. Don't look at it as a negative thing. I apologize.
I'm sorry. Thank you. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. It's like 2 minutes. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Mr. Engaging. I'm a daughter and then political. I got some people that want to come in, but we gotta clear out the speakers that have spoken and don't, unless if you've spoken already and we're can move you down, then we can do that. Unless your hand is up. Then it'll be
I'll move myself down right
now. Mr. Engaging, you have 2 minutes, sir.
All right. Nobody's not really talking about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is actually all these candidates combining to one political party. That's the elephant in the room that I keep seeing that we're bouncing our head against. And I think that we have more of us working together on that issue versus working individual worrying about our own campaign. And what I'm saying is either we rise together or we fall together. And that's really sincerely into how we should be running any of these candidates respectfully. I don't see that. I see every individual respectfully doing their own thing and not really advocating for us the way that they should be advocating after we put all that information in them. So I'm just going to keep it that on that short tip and say that we need to be doing that respectfully. We need to be putting ourselves together because once we get into those Congress halls, they're going to come after us. And it's better that we start forming up now than doing it later.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Political, and then we're going to go to logic, I believe. After that, political, you got 2 minutes, sir. It's 12:06.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in that the HR 3745 was first introduced in 1989. So the hasn't been 30 years, it's 42 years that they bamboozled us. But I wanted to also make sure that I'm in Georgia and I speak to a lot of people like every day. I actually been out here handing out flyers, speaking to people, and basically dismantling Warnock. I don't know who Enoch is, but Raphael Warnock, his entire platform. I know him personally, and he's never spoke about anything to uplift or had a black agenda. Never talked about what he was going to introduce or anything, and I'm completely against him. I think that one of the greatest tactics was the fact that he didn't align behind HR 40. We don't have anything else as far as to differentiate who's going to support. His excuse can always be, well, there's nothing there. There's no bills and everything. But then, of course, we can always say, well, how come you haven't done anything to motivate or push anything else other than HR 40? But being that HR 40 is, in a position and a status that is at right now, we can actually use that as a tactic of saying that he doesn't support black people. So, I mean, I do understand that. I actually understand both sides. I think that there's a way that we can get an agreement that, when these people are in position, that they're going to make the efforts, because what we do need is people in these positions that can actually reach the masses and push the things that we need to push. It'll make everything so much easier. But if we kick their legs or the legs from under them, and we don't get our people in position, then we're not going to get anything. That's how we got the KKK, the 1866 Act, believe it or not, because we had overwhelming amount, well, at least more than what we have today, of representation and in political positions. And that's what we have to think about. We have to think about getting us in political positions, and not the other way of saying that if, we have to basically speak to our candidates, and we have to be behind them. And we have to get aligned. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm not even going to play the recording because I know my time is up. Thank you for letting me speak.
All right. Thank you, Logic. And after Logic, it is going to be Sadiku and then Amia. I'm sorry. Then
I think Bahi had his hand up. Bahi had his
Okay, I
hand up.
apologize. Bahi, you got it's 12:09. You got 2 minutes.
Sure. I just wanted to say um, to Miss Tamara Johnson that we all are supporters of yours, and I know that you've been on the ground, actually doing the work, making the sacrifices. So I can appreciate it. But I wanted to say the meltdown that I feel like that you're talking about, I don't feel like it's because of our support or non-support of HR 40. I'm just going to be honest from my perspective. I feel like most of us were a part of another group, and that group, I feel like the breakdown happened because that group wasn't supportive of you. I know myself, I was a part of the New Orleans chapter, and we sort of dissolved because we felt like the one thing that we wanted to do was support folks like yourself and reparationist candidates. And we had a little tiff in our group because the Atlanta chapter wasn't supporting you. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say I think it's important for us to have these unfiltered conversations around HR 40. And I don't feel like you should see this as any type of threat to your candidacy. And that was really it. Thank you.
Thank you.